What if the first time someone learns what an unhealthy relationship looks like is when they're already in one? Preventing domestic violence begins in the early stages of adolescence. It can begin with control disguised as care, with jealousy mistaken for love, with isolation normalized as loyalty, and with behaviours that are dismissed as just a phase until they become something much more serious. One third of Australian teenagers aged 18 to 19 have experienced intimate partner violence in the past year. But prevention cannot begin after the harm has already happened. It has to begin earlier. So, we asked a simple question. What if young people were taught how to recognize unhealthy relationship behaviors before they became normalized? We began by listening. We provided an identical survey to students across different year groups to understand what young people already knew about healthy and unhealthy relationship behaviours. The results revealed a clear gap. Year 11 students demonstrated a strong understanding of relationship behaviours, while Year 9 students showed more uncertainty. That mattered. Because Year 9 is the point where many young people are beginning to develop more serious relationships while still forming their understanding of what those relationships should look like. If we want to stop domestic and dating violence, we cannot wait until the damage is already done. Prevention has to start early, before these patterns begin. That is why we created Pattern. Pattern is an immersive school workshop that educates Year 9 students on unhealthy behaviours. It focuses on the behaviours that are often overlooked, whether it be control, manipulation, isolation, or pressure, and the difference between a relationship that is supportive and one that can become harmful. Pattern is not designed to lecture young people, because telling someone what a healthy relationship looks like isn't always enough. Pattern uses realistic scenarios, live theatre, and peer facilitation to make students question what they would actually do. Not just, do you know the definition of an unhealthy relationship, but would you recognize the red flags if it happened to you or someone you cared about? We then developed a sample lesson and introduced the concept to a Year 9 PDHPE class. The response was positive. Students engaged with the scenarios, participated in open discussion, and were forced to think beyond obvious examples of unhealthy behaviours. This pilot gave us something more valuable than assumptions. It gave us evidence that young people are willing to engage with this conversation when it is presented in a way that feels relevant to them. But Pattern is currently only a beginning. With funding, Pattern can move from a tested concept to a developed program. Funding would allow us to develop a complete evidence informed curriculum, create high quality interactive resources, and train peer facilitators, and measure whether students' knowledge and confidence actually improves. Because prevention should not depend on whether one school happens to have the resources to provide it. Every young person deserves the opportunity to recognize an unhealthy relationship before they're trapped in one. We know that just one lesson cannot solve the problem, but it can start a conversation. The problem is clear, the audience is ready, and the concept is proven. Now, we need the support to make it a reality. Because prevention should not begin after the damage has been done. It should begin before the pattern becomes normal. Help us make prevention the beginning of the conversation, not the response to the ending.